What's this? Good morning. I am John Harder, and I am addressing the TheBillionCoin community this morning here from Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, Mexico. All right. The title for this morning is Ways of Building Wealthy, Healthy, and Happy Local Communities Using TBC. And that's what I basically want to talk about today. And let me just drag this down a wee bit here. Yeah, that's better. All right. Okay. This morning is Hangout is episode 117. 117th episode for the Kringle or TBC system. And my fellow TBCians, however, whatever is the correct way of addressing that. The reason why we are doing this, the very reason I am doing this broadcast right now is for the freedom of humanity. We have we could say very slowly, and it has been very slowly over the course of thousands of years. There is a group of people, of manipulators, who have taken advantage of the fact that humanity can be deceived. They have taken advantage of creating a false reality, creating a shadow, as it were, in front of us, and to have us interpret that as real, and thereby enslaving us. So what do we mean by that? Well, let's begin by basically pointing out to us that we, as a human being, each individual, we are a free person. We are free. And when we look at our, wherever we are, whether it's in, depending on what country you're in, the enslavement isn't equal in all countries. It varies in different, there are different degrees of variation. What do I mean by that? I simply mean that in one country, the enslavement shows up more, how should I say, in one particular area of our lives, whereas in another country it tends to show up a little differently, but nonetheless, it is an enslavement worldwide. These parasites, you know, I'm gonna plug it in. It seems like when you're on battery, it's in power saving mode, and then it doesn't. It tends to. Okay, so we are. So what you notice in one country, there's like in Canada, there's income tax. There's income tax, and income tax, that is a form of enslavement. Now I know that most of the people, they are used to it, especially the younger generations. They're used to it, and to them it seems like just like, okay, well, that's the government. They, you know, they need their money. Really, really, do they? Do they? And what are they doing with that money? And is it even the government? You see, that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem right now with humanity, is that humanity is basically ignorant of their own enslavement, and they are, as the manipulators, exactly the way they want to make it sound and look, as that it's your government. Your government is, that's who is, because you see, the government, that's who they use as a hammer to enforce further and further enslavement. And the people who are working for the government have no idea what they are doing. They have no idea what they are doing. I would venture to say that less than 1 in 1,000 has any clue what he's doing. This is what they use. This ignorance is exactly what they use. And their idea, how they have gotten there, is by how should we say, it's called, on the basis of knowledge, on the basis of need, or on the basis of, you know, on the need to know basis. Yeah, on the need to know basis. So in other words, an advertisement would be over the radio, TV, or something, a commercial, repeated commercials. We need more cops, for instance. And so, well, there are obviously people who love the idea of practicing that power over other people, and so they are apt to apply and get those kind of jobs, having the idea that they are doing something good in the world. Yes, they have the idea that they are doing something good in the world. But they don't know that they are, in fact, enslaving more and more themselves, their own families, and their future generations. This is the sneaky, how should we say, the method that they have been using all of these years. Always only on the need-to-know basis. And so in the schools and so on, in the, I'm calling them schools, but really they're not. They're not actually schools. They are actually just indoctrination camps. They are indoctrination camps instead of schools. As they make it sound, schools. Oh, it's very important. It's very important for kids to be in school from very young. Very young. Yeah, as soon as they don't need a diaper, okay, it's school time. School time. So, what is that all about? It is about teaching them to obey orders without question. You don't question why this or why that, or you don't question any of that. You only respond to authority without question. By the way, don't worry about what your parents are telling you. You go by what the law tells you. Yes, what the law tells you. That's what you go by. This is the indoctrination that our kids are being taught. And that is what they use to disempower humanity. First of all, don't ask questions. Just do your job. Do as you're told. End of story. And then as they're being told, you know, how to, whatever to do, well, it's all in the name of doing good. That's what it's all about. It's in the name of protecting humanity. It's in the name of you know, of catching the thieves. It's in the name of all, you know, of creating a better world. Yes, it's in the name of that. But in reality, it's kind of like continuously feeding somebody, you know, a bit of poison into the food, and then in the name of keeping them healthy. That's pretty much, that's about how that works out to be. It's like putting some poison in every day, and then you say, well, this is to keep you healthy. This is to grow you strong. And yet, you're actually slowly killing them. That's exactly what they're doing. Can we wake up enough to see that? Can we help our children and grandchildren? Can we wake them up enough to help them see that? Now, I have, as many times before, I'm again going to incorporate using our mind. And folks, this is our only hope. This is our only hope. And I know we could say that TBC is our only hope. I think that TBC is possibly our only tool. It's possibly our only tool that we can really use to make advances and get gain our freedom back. But our only hope is to wake up. Our only hope to a better life and to freedom to free ourselves from these parasites that are feeding off of us is to wake up. And of all things, if we can wake up people that are in government, people who are enslaved in government, thinking that they are doing a good service, when in fact they are slowly killing themselves, their families, and their future generations. So how does our mind, how does your mind really tie into all this? In order to understand this, we must first understand that mind control is a very large part of the equation as to where we are. Mind control is actually the biggest part, because all of the way society is set up has all been done in the way of always in the name of making things better. And we fell for it. We fell for it. We thought, oh, okay, all right, well, that will finally solve this problem. And years later, we realized the problem is, instead of it having gone away, it has become much worse. And now what are we going to do? Well, then what those manipulators do is they create another problem. They create another problem. And then, of course, they have the solution. Oh, yeah, they come up with a problem. And then, oh, yeah, they got the solution. For instance, some of these things we could go to and talk about 9/11. See, 9/11. That's a typical show that was put on by these manipulators. Go and create something that people will turn around and say, oh, we got to do something about this. You see, create something and then blame it on somebody else to get the people emotionally involved and saying, look, you know, we got to do something about it. What are you going to do about it? Well, we got to go to war. We've got to go and fight. We got to go and take down this country over there. We got to go and take down that dictator. People who have actually nothing to do with it, no involvement or nothing. It was all an inside job, and the people blindly fell for it. This is what's been going on. Okay? Now, we have two choices. We have two choices in life, and this involves your mind in a very, very, very real matter, very real way. You need to look at life realistically. You can ask your subconscious how life truly is if you don't really understand it. Then you need to open up your mind and you simply ask yourself, what is real? How is life actually? Your subconscious has all the answers. All the answers that you open yourself up to, your subconscious has them all. And then when you have the answers, and this you can do in any area of life. If you want to know who's in control of the pharmaceutical, the doctors, all of that, what that involves, our health, and you want to know the true answers to your health, to what's going on in that pharmaceutical industry, all of those answers, the truth of all of them lie in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is infinite in wisdom. Your subconscious mind is infinite in wisdom. It is your direct connection to God. There is nothing that can be hidden from you concerning your life in all areas. As we look at how this world is operating, then we've got to open up our mind and ask ourselves, what is my next best step to take? We look at life in so many areas, in all areas. We see the enslavement everywhere, in every area, in the food industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, in the agriculture industry, everywhere. And so we could very easily allow our mind to fall into the trap of thinking it's too late. Folks, it's never too late. It's never too late. Ever. Because think about what the people had to do to manipulate. Think about how much time they have put into this. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Always, always in a way to make it appear to humanity as if they are making things better. But now that we know that that was never the case, we need to ask our own subconscious, how are things really, and what is my first step from here to go in the right direction? Everything you need to know will come to you. Everything you need to know will come to you. The people who built TBC saw the enslavement of humanity, which also there are many other people who also saw this same thing, but likely did not have much of an idea as to how to approach it or what to do about it. The ideas come to you as you open yourself up to them. When you open yourself up to the ideas, and you know that things are far from the way they should be. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, we've got two choices. We can basically throw in the towel and say, oh, well, what can I do? And if that's the route we're going to take, then count on it not getting any better for you. Because unless you make it better, it will become worse. If you have a garden and you're starting to see you got this nice garden, all of these nice plants there, and then the weeds are starting to grow. If you don't do anything about those weeds and you say, well, what can I do? You can say that, day after day. And you know what your garden will turn into? It will be totally overcome with those weeds. This is exactly how it works. You need to then clean out those weeds. You need to do that, what your subconscious tells you. Isn't it natural that you start weeding your garden? Isn't it natural, if you want a nice garden, a nice productive garden, that you start weeding it when the weeds come? Well, that's kind of what we have failed to do. And so, if we want to get the idea and sit and say, well, what can I do? I mean, after all, I have nothing to do with what happened. I have, in many other instances, talked about, or I'm saying instances, I mean broadcasts, talked about the fact that whatever comes into your life has been created by you, whether you did it in ignorance or whether you did it knowingly. But you have created it. So that would tell us that the way we have been manipulated and we have allowed those leeches to latch onto us and feed off of us. It means that we are as responsible for it as they are. Now, this is where our power comes in. Because if we turn around and we say, well, after all, there's nothing I can do about it. What can I do about it? You have just handed the power over to them. You have just bowed down to them and rendered them all the power. And say, look, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. You go ahead and enslave me more and do whatever you want with me. You just, there's nothing I can do. Be careful. Be careful. Open yourself up. Open your mind up. Open your thinking up to a very real truth. And that is that you do have the power. There is something you can do about it. And that you are willing to do what you need to do. You are willing to take every step to make your own life better and the life of those to follow. Because somebody is following you, whether you know it or not. Other people are watching you and they are following you. Are you going to be confident, moving ahead, regardless of where you are right now? By the way, let me throw something in here, and I believe this is just very, very important. It is vital. It is vital that you never, ever look on your past experiences, your past, whether you call them failures or whatever. By the way, never even do that. Never even call anything a failure. If you want to look at it as something, call it a lesson. Call it something positive. Call it something that you have learned from. Never ever say that I have failed. I just keep on failing. You are seriously disempowering yourself every time you do that. Every time you use those words, failure, I failed here, I failed there, you are disempowering yourself. Count everything as a blessing. Count everything in life as a plus. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make this very brief, but I want to touch on something that I have talked about before. I'm not going to go into much detail, but I want to give you this as an illustration. A number of years ago, some pretty serious, to me pretty serious, illness happened to me. And as soon as I caught on that the doctors had absolutely no clue what they were doing, I instantly stopped going to the doctors and made it my mission to find out what was causing those kind of symptoms. And as I did, I caught on that I didn't catch it right away, of course, because it took me a lot of effort and a lot of understanding to realize that I was the creator of those illnesses in my life. But as soon as I caught that, this to me was a huge blessing. This to me, as soon as I understood that, I couldn't have been happier, because I right away said to myself, well, if I created it, then I can fix it. If I am the creator, then I can fix it. You see, in life, most of my life I've been a mechanic, usually fixing what other people had created. And of course, there are some things I created. And of course, the things that I created, it was very easy for me to fix when something wasn't holding up to the task. I right away understood why, what the problem was. But in most cases, even if other people created it, all I needed was an understanding of what their idea was that they had created, and I could usually make it better than what it had been before, make it stronger so it would last. And that was always my aim, was to make it better and stronger than it had been before. Now, this is what I'm telling you. This is where our power is. This is where your power is. Your power is in your mind. Your power is in your mind. Your body can do anything that your mind gives it to do. Your body can do anything your mind gives it to do. Your body can do absolutely nothing without your mind. Nothing. So don't underestimate your power. Don't underestimate. Now here's where I want to just talk about in closing with hold on. Oh, already? Wow, time is slipping away here. Time is slipping away fast here, seemingly. Okay, so before I close, I want to just talk about this for a wee bit. And that is that you use your mind as an open it up as an open book. Be ready. Be ready for ideas that come to you, and be willing to implement all ideas that come to you. And they will come to you in hunches. When you get a brilliant idea, and that will really work, you need to find that hunch that tells you that you can do this. It'll give you that excitement. It will give you that feeling that this would be awesome. Don't chuck that out. Take that hunch. Know that it stands for something, because that is God telling you you can do this. And this is the tool, the TBC is the tool that we have been given that is very, very powerful to to disconnect us from the disempowerment, from the mental blockages that you've been absorbing by the false idea of scarcity. Okay, those mental blockages that have been blocking your success, that have been blocking you in all of these areas where you thought, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't, you know, and so I just do what I think I can. Be open for great ideas, great hunches that will come to you, and implement those, because that is how we were going to change the world. And we're going to bring TBC along for the ride as a very, very powerful tool to replace the current debt-based system. Thank you so much for being with me here. I'm just actually going to quickly go over and acknowledge those who have. Jules Ann, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And Marjorie, thank you for moderating. Mahalko 88, thank you. I noticed you were already yesterday. You were waiting, and I apologize. I didn't do a hangout yesterday or a broadcast, but thank you for joining me again today. Christina, thank you so much for joining my hangout. You could have easily, any one of you could have easily come on. I posted the link, and I did that just so that you could join me if you want. So sometime I think I'm gonna be posting the link every day, unless I forget, because I want to be open to actually discuss with you. If you have questions or anything, I would love to converse with any of you. So thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out with me. And those of you who are not showing up in the chat, but were listening from the sidelines, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. And let us, without fear, make this world a better place for our future generations. And for us of course, yeah, too. Thank you.